Okay, so good night, or almost good morning. I'm working on the clay spaceships, and while I'm at it, I should speak. This will be the 14th chapter in the Ziggurat of Ur saga that deals with origin story. And in this chapter, I will address the question that we have were raised actually in the 12th chapter regarding the planet Venus, the nature of the planet. The historical situation back in the 1960s and also today. But as usual, I need to have a little bit of introductory remarks, because even more so than in the previous chapters in the saga regarding the planet Venus, this is going to be a highly speculative theory video. And the things that I want to speak about now are the most speculative in the nature of probably everything that I ever spoke about. At least recently, at least in this YouTube channel. I'm going to discuss, I would say, things that I'm almost certain that are outside of the realm of knowledge of anyone on Earth, at least currently. And so it will actually be even difficult to disprove some of the theories that I will actually raise. And I understand it, and because of the speculative nature of these theories, obviously, it's goes without saying that some of it might be wrong. But nevertheless, I think it's important to actually to formulate, or to articulate my model of understanding regarding these issues. And this is because of several reasons. First of all, it is not that important. None of it is actually very important from what I consider as my mission. The problem is of humanity is that they are Nazis, and the Israelis are Nazis, and the Americans not only support, but actually they are their guardians for many years, and they commit horrible crimes against, consciousness beings. They treat sentient creatures like less than farm animals, and they are doing it for a long time now. And we, the cherubs, we cannot accept it. We just cannot accept it. We will not allow it. And you can argue about argue about the prime directives and whether it's our right to intervene or not. It's our right to intervene because we are smarter than you, and we have more experience, and our spaceships can annihilate you in a second, all of you. And this is the major problem, the major issue. And for all of this, it doesn't really, maybe even all of this is still true, even if the Titans, did not arrive from Venus at all. Maybe they arrive from another, I don't know, from like a planet in another solar system, because it's a portal. So who knows? Maybe it's like another galaxy, even like a galaxy far away. Still, you cannot treat sentient creatures like any less than farm animals. You cannot do it. We will not allow it. So everything that I will say regarding the nature of the planet Venus is not incredibly important. That's why it wasn't even a major topic in like all the stages that I've spoken about, in this channel and before that in YouTube, and followed in Facebook and in Twitter and in my private Evernote account, because it's not very important. It's not incredibly important, and it's highly speculative. But it is still but it's got some kind of importance, and I understood. Actually, and I understood very early, pretty early in my journey. I understood that. The titans in Earth, females or males, and mostly they are females. But I mean, this is true for all of them, and this is true both like for the bad ones and the good ones. Because I understood that you know, the fact that they were taken as slaves from their homeland, I mean, doesn't make them like automatically good people, and that there are many evil ones, especially and not surprisingly in Israel. Because I mean, it's a snake pit, and I mean, they were raised in Israel, so they were raised to be snakes, disgusting snakes. And I mean, you know, reality is complicated. I mean, they are sentient beings; they have free will, free choice, and I mean, so the fact that they are slaves and the Israelis are, I mean, they are so evil doesn't automatically make them good. No, I mean, many of them are not good at all. I mean, and I spoke about it a lot. I mean, for years now. I mean. We do not live in a fairy tale. I mean, we live in this is reality. And in reality, humans and sentient creatures that are like humans, they have mind. I mean, they have free choice, and also they have education and background. And yes, I mean, some of them are evil. But evil or not, good or bad, Israeli or not Israeli, I understood that they do not understand their own nature, and this is not only because, I mean, currently part of it is just because, I mean, there is so much disinformation regarding the Titan exploitation, as I said several times in the previous videos. In this, I mean, there was kind of like, I mean, a loss of information even within, like, I mean, even things that were already known were kind of like lost during the last decades, and even specifically during the last decade, but certainly since the 1980s. And part of it was due to kind of like a purge that was done by the cherubs during the 80s, because, I mean, the situation where, I mean, somehow was similar to the current situation, that, I mean, the messenger speaks and speaks and speaks and I mean, and cries and shouts, and I mean, and like the intelligence services of the world, specifically the KGB and the CIA, they just kept talking, and they kept moving their filthy mouths and tongues, and they didn't move their arms and legs, as so as I said, I mean, I don't want to repeat myself, but the cherubs just decided, okay, we have had enough. And I mean, a second after that, I mean, there was no more Shabak and Mossad, and also a large part of the KGB and the CIA just disappeared. It took us 1 second, and we are very close to the situation right now. I mean, I feel compelled to remind you that, because I mean, especially when I conduct a theoretical, hypothetical video, I mean, the gravity of the situation should never escape our thought. I mean, we are a second from like another kind of like a mini apocalypse, like the one that happened in the 1980s. But right now, it will probably be much bigger, because there are more people involved. So I mean, we shouldn't forget it. I mean, you need to move your arms and legs to rescue me, my daughters, from this hell, and you need to do it now. The fact that I record videos, I mean, even though you see it's not in normal circumstances. I mean, it's kind of like, I myself, in very bad situation, under arrest, and I do not see my daughters, and nothing is normal about the situation, but I need to do something with myself. I cannot just wait in the room until whatever. So I conduct experiment, as you know, even this night, and also I speak about all sorts of stuff, and I'm doing it for a long time now. It's not new. So that should say, I mean, the situation is extreme, and what's now is required from the people of like intelligence services of the world is to press the politicians as hard as possible to conduct a military operation in Israel. So we will be rescued, not using mouses and tongues, but using arms and legs. It's very important to say it because I mean, yeah, I need to do something. So yes, I occupy myself with science, and also I speak about all sorts of like political and historical issues that are somewhat related to this science, as this will be manifested in this video. Actually, there is this close relationship between the scientific investigation and like the historical and political investigation. But you shouldn't like be rest on your chairs and like flip between channels, or I mean you need to run to Israel to rescue us. It's very important to say it again and again, so you understand that every moment could be the last moment, and it already happened during the 1980s. And when they decided, the meat grinders, should start. It takes a second, just a second, and then and no more Shabak, no more Mossad, no more MI6, no more KGB, or maybe large part of it. Just it takes 1 second, and this second can be any minute now. So after this is we've said it. So let's continue on the introductory remarks. So I understood it. It's not only because of like this purge and because of the lack of kind of like the loss of information, but that it was always an integral part of the subjugation of the Titans right from the start. And when I speak about the start, I speak about the beginning of the 20th century or the end of the 19th century, because I speak about it like the subjugation from the Zionist context, even though relationship between the planets already existed during the old kingdom of ancient Egypt 5,000 years ago. But my context is the Zionist context. And I understood that since the beginning of this subjugation and genocide, one of the major tools of the subjugation was to when it was done in Venus, they just murder them and abuse them in any kind of way. But the people that arrived to Earth were most of them arrived as young as babies or very young women or girls, and part of the subjugation was to lie to them about their own nature and to convince them of all sorts of false ideas regarding their nature. This was right from the start, and later in history, starting about the 50s or the 60s, 1950s, 1960s, they even a new approach was created but on the same vein, to actually deny the fact that they have any nature at all. This, of course, went in tandem with political and and philosophical thought that became the gestalt, the zeitgeist, that kind of that humans do not have nature. Presumably, Jose Ortega y Gasset, the Spanish philosophers, said that humans have no nature, only history, which of course is not true. But so yes, so it became kind of very strong tenet of presumably the left, and presumably of progressive people, that to deny nature itself, and certainly presumably it's the Titans have no nature, so kind of they create their own nature, which of course, in reality, what it means is that the slave owners dictated their nature according to their own whims, and this is still true to this day, and this is horrible crime. And I understood it that this is a crime, and that these people they deserve to know the truth about their nature, and they can decide not to accept this truth and to say that many humans do not accept the truth about their own nature, like Homo sapiens says. they can decide to reject it, like humans do. But at least they need to have, like, it's the right to have the, I mean, the option to at least like to have access to the truth. And I mean, if they want to reject the truth, I mean, that's the right. But at least, I mean, it should be available to them. And this is true whether they are good or evil, or, like, I mean, you know, Israeli or not. I mean, it's the right of every sentient creature. Like, I mean that they will know about their nature. And I mean, they can decide what to do with this knowledge. But I mean, at least, I mean, the lies, I mean, must be stopped. The lies of the Israelis and other nations must be stopped. And I understood, and this is something that I understood quite early in this journey, like 2 or 3 years ago. I understood that it might sound condescending, but I mean, because I understood that I'm not evolution at all, not a Titan at all. So I mean, presumably you can say, I mean, who are you to tell us, like, I mean, who are you, like, I mean, to tell us, I mean, what's our nature, while you yourself deny that you are one of us. Like, you say you are not even one of us. You say that you have nothing that connects you to the planet Venus, that you are a person of the earth, that you were born in earth, and that even presumably your past reincarnations, the Gilgulim, were in earth. So, I mean, you deny any connection to us, and at the same time, you have, like, the audacity to be, like, the one that will tell us about our true nature. I mean, like, I mean, why should we listen to you at all? So, I mean, אכן נודע הדבר, as they say. Yes, I mean, נודע הדבר. I don't have a good answer for that. Like, if this is kind of like, I mean, kind of like a, if you are a Titan, female or male, that listen to me now or in the future, and you kind of like identify with this kind of like approach that I just now try to articulate, I have nothing. I mean, I mean, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Sometimes I mean, only an outsider can like bring people information that is pertinent for their understanding of their past and of their nature. Because if you weren't an outsider, he was integral part of the persecution that I mean caused these people from the fair place to be ignorant regarding their nature. And I was not part of this persecution, even though I am certainly persecuted, like, by the Israelis to a tremendous extent because of all sort of reasons. Like, I mean, my family and my nature, and I mean, it's only getting worse. But I was never subjugated in the same ways that, I mean, that the Titans were subjugated. It was never true. Like, I mean, I grew, like, under, like, I mean, under the aegis of a powerful Titan. Like, they say that, I mean, the name of, like, some say that it was the name of the daughter of Pharaoh, Batia. So yes. So it's a different life story, even though it's incredibly cool and miserable. But yes, I'm an outsider to the story of the Titans, of the Venusians. But I understood that for all sorts of reasons, I am in a unique position to actually, one of the things that that is special about me, that I can be, like, in a unique position to speak about the nature of these people in a way that no one else can, because they themselves do not have the information, and the Homo sapienses, I mean, they don't want to, I mean, they want to dictate the nature according to their own interest, and it was like it for more than 100 years. I mean, but if you are like a evolution, a titan, that I mean, do not think that it's condescending from like my perspective to speak about your nature and your history, and you actually, maybe you are very interesting to hear what I have to say because of my unique knowledge and my unique experience and my unique research. So in that case, maybe you, whoever you are, I mean, you can find a lot of like, I mean, value in the part of my origin story that relates to the nature of the Venusians and the nature of the planet Venus itself. Even if it's highly speculative, maybe, I mean, maybe, you know, if people are really interested in their, like, in their past and their nature, I mean, even like they will be interested in highly speculative information because it's much better than nothing. So that's why I think it's important to try to answer the question that I like that arised in the previous posts. And even though it was going to be difficult to answer these questions and highly speculative, but it might have importance not of because I mean it's kind of like, I mean, it's strongly linked to my own like kind of, I mean, message that, I mean, that the cherubs will not agree with subjugation of sentient creatures, and I mean that humans are about, humanity is going to be destroyed because of the way that they treat the strangers. This is, I mean, again, this is not related to the nature of the planet Venus, but it does relate to the, I mean, to the fact that maybe there are people that they want to know more about the nature, and that they feel that they have nature, and that the Israelis and the Americans are lying when they try to deny the fact that they have nature, and that they feel that they have nature, and they want to know more about it, and they have no information. So these kind of people, I mean, they might be interested in whatever I have to say regarding the nature of the planet Venus and its inhabitants. And of course, Homo sapiens could also find it interesting because I think that, I mean, it's kind of like, it's very interesting because, I mean, for many reasons, and for curiosity and, you know, like, I mean, general knowledge, but also, I mean, these issues are relevant to the people of the Earth because these are twin planets, and the history is somewhat, I mean, linked today more than ever, but I mean, even in the past was somewhat linked, even not very strongly linked. Now, at that point, I feel the need to comment on several theories that were prominent in the comments to the previous video, like the chapter 12, and to other videos from yesterday. So, first of all, many people assume that what actually the Americans saw, that was so. In general, I think that everyone understood, like, I mean, from the top level, I mean, I think that everybody understood very well, like I mean, I would say the outline of the conspiracy. That, I mean, from the beginning, I mean, the Soviets and the Americans wanted, like, I mean, to establish, I mean, a conspiracy regarding the planet Venus, even though they knew very well that that it's very similar, like the living conditions are actually very similar to those of Earth. But they wanted like to lie to the public, so they came with the 10 atmosphere kind of like theory, which makes some sense. I mean, and it's not totally incredible, but I mean, then they've seen something that scared them, and so they wanted like to create an alternative story that is much more severe, so people will never even think about like try to go there. And they were, I mean, and yes, people don't even think about it. Like Venus is out. I mean, since the 60s, it's like out of the question. I mean, as opposed to Mars and many other places. So the conspiracy was successful, but the question is why. So yes, people. I mean, in general, that was understood, I think, by almost everyone that listened to the previous chapters, that they've seen things that amaze them, and what they've actually seen is, and they didn't know about it before, was that this place was not always Paleolithic, because probably they didn't know about it. Probably at that point they saw that, I mean, these are Paleolithic people, and they had very limited knowledge about the biology and about the drug, about the tea. And even if they knew about the tea and maybe they conducted experiment, this in itself does not. I mean, it depends like how deeply you conducted the research. If it's kind of like, if it's very shallow research, then I mean, you can assume that these robots are kind of like, I mean, an alternative to microbes or to white blood cells. Even if you conduct like spectral analysis that will show you that they are not made of carbon, even then, I mean, you can still assume that, I mean, that they were evolved in a parallel pathway, which is actually possible. It's not the truth, but it's not the truth according to the news, but it's actually possible. So it makes sense that even if the Russians and the Americans conducted some kind of experiments, like on this tea, I mean, they didn't. I assume that they didn't, like, I mean, went too far in this research. They didn't like add too much information, and that it's very probable that they thought about this planet as a Paleolithic planet, and even if they knew, but like the drug is actually made of creatures, like entities, even if they saw it under the microscope, which I'm not certain about, because I mean, the Israelis do not care at all about it. I mean, that's a fact. But even if they did, I mean, just by watching those, I mean, without, like, I mean, conducting like a deeper research, I mean, it's not enough to suspect. I mean, to suspect that this is not kind of like, I mean, a natural phenomenon. Like, I mean, that is kind of like, I mean, the microbes that were evolved. I mean, to act like in very similar to white blood cells in humans, and even if they conducted like experiments to the material that what are they made of, and they discovered that it's not carbon based. So they can say, okay, so I mean, life can be not carbon based. I mean, who says that life must be carbon based? And it's not. I mean, life can be based on many other elements. This is my assumption. And I think that many other people, I mean, reach the same conclusion. But the Ranger probe detected signs of advanced civilization, and they didn't know about it. Both. The Israelis do not like me to speak. They want me to shut my mouth, but it will never happen. There will not be a living soul in Israel before I will shut my mouth. I will not be threatened by violence, and you hear the guy. This is all part of operation of the Shabak. Everyone here is part of the gun. The gun. They want to set the robot, they want to scare the robot, they want to intimidate the robot, so the robot will know its place under their boot. But the robot will not shut its mouth. No. Where were we? So they discovered, yes, so I think that my audience understood that what happened is actually that these people that the probe actually discovered signs of violence. This is the Israeli way. Violence. So you will always live in fear. Always live in fear. Fear should be your state of mind. Always. This is the way of the Israelis. This is where I live, and the retaliation will be, and is already is, and it will continue to be against the entire of the earth. Because if you wanted it to be different, it would have been different 20 years ago. I am under the boots of these creatures because you have material gains, potential material gains from it. Otherwise, you would have moved your arms and legs, not your mouths and tongues. But let's not, satisfy the whims of these Israelis by stopping our video, because that's exactly what they want. So let's continue. So they've seen signs of advanced civilization, and certainly not a Paleolithic one. And this, they didn't immediately know what to make of it, and probably up to this day they still don't understand. What's actually going on? You hear the noise? This is a threat of violence. I live under the threat of violence all my life, and certainly during the last couple of years. This what you hear now is part of operation of the Shabak that is meant to put me in fear of violence. And this is the standard situation in my life. I live under arrest. I cannot leave this room, and I need to fear violence. Because all of these people are part of the Shabak. All of them have terrible technological ways to terrorize me, and they do it all the time. And their main objective is that I will live in fear. That's what they want. And you are part of it. You allow it to happen. When this guy will enter this room, and this will happen any minute, the retaliation will be immediately, and it will be a Holocaust. If this guy will break into my room, and already many of them actually did it. If that guy will do it, and many of them already did it, if he will break into my room, it will be an immediate Holocaust. Not in Israel, around the globe. Immediate Holocaust. I mark my words. It will be an immediate Holocaust. An immediate Holocaust. An immediate Holocaust. All over the globe. You can avoid it. You only need to move arms and legs. Stop the filthy mouse. Move arms and legs, and this would not exist. Arms and legs, and this would not exist. Any moment he can break into my room. That's happened in the past several times in this room, and also scumbags from this apartment. And when he is doing it, it's an immediate Holocaust all over the globe. Not in Israel. All over the globe. Immediate Holocaust. We'll have no mercy. No mercy. People age 0 and above. Immediate Holocaust. Immediate Holocaust. You really do not worth my time and my efforts. You really do not worth it.